It appears the border legislation is on its way to passing the House of Representatives at this hour, going on to the president next for his signature. And something you hear the president say sometimes, and some of his supporters, is, if you don't have a border, you don't have a country. And in some sense, sure, that's true. Borders are constitutive features of the modern nation state. But the question before the U.S. is not, does it have a border or not? It's what kind of border we will have. For most of its existence, the southern border had nowhere near the massive security apparatus it has developed in the last 20 years. In fact, the fencing behind me that separates El Paso and Juarez was only built in 2008. A lot of people, for decades and decades, used to just come and go, come for work, return home to their families, sometimes seasonally. In fact, U.S. immigration policy for much of this country's entire history was a kind of open borders policy. Basically, anyone not enslaved could more or less show up. The country had a border then, too, and it certainly existed as a country. And then another thing you hear, not just from the president, but really from politicians across the political spectrum, is we need to secure the border. And yet no one ever seems to define what the heck that means. What is the goal that we want to reach? What it means in practice is always more. More money, more fencing, more drones, more technology, more border patrol, more enforcement, more punitive measures. And yet somehow it is quite literally never enough. And that is because for many, most importantly, this president, his base and his advisors, it's not about the border, and it never has been. And you know that because as soon as they were offered a $25 billion package for the border wall, the White House derailed the talks by demanding a drastic reduction in legal immigration. You could have had money for the wall, but the wall is not the issue. And the border, this very real stretch of land with people and families and businesses and churches on both sides of the line, is not the issue. The issue is what this country as a whole looks like and who gets to call it theirs. Which is why the wall will never be built and always be needed. Why the border will never actually be secure, but always need to be secured. It's because America cannot be, and will not be, one hopes, the kind of nation that those folks want. The president, his advisors, one bound fundamentally by ethnic and racial affiliation rather than a collective vision of a free society. The border is not what we need to secure. What we want is for people to be secure. We want people to feel secure. And that's hard. And getting there and all it would mean is something that no amount of fencing is ever going to provide.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.